Welcome back to Plan First Live. I'm Sean Larkin. I'm the Manager of Design Services at Plan First Design.
Hi everyone, Nick Lecco. I run a residential architects practice in Wellington, New Zealand.
And today we are going to be discussing from bland to beautiful and how to improve the curb appeal of your house.
I think people historically have taken a lot of pride in street appearances on how houses present themselves. We used to have a heritage in New Zealand of painting our colour steel roofs with various colours, which red was a surprisingly popular colour. Where effectively there's a lot of beige and a lot of cream, a lot less colour.
Probably going for neutral colours because it's easier to sell a neutral colour than a bold colour.
Yeah, 100%. You see it in the retail brands across everything from vehicles to clothing. That effectively, 90% of customers want something much more in keeping with pretty much what everyone else has, which is absolutely fine.
I've got a friend who's an estate agent, and sometimes what happens is a customer will line up 3 or 4 properties to view, and some of them, when they get to the house, the customers say they don't want to go in simply because the street of the house is so bad. It's not as complicated as you might think to improve the curb appeal of a property. Let's have a look at this. And we're going to discuss what's the most bang for your buck. And the first thing would be paint makes a huge difference already. And then move on to landscape. After landscaping, have a look at your lighting. I mean, here you can see they've got nice lighting inside the house, but nothing on the outside. So by just adding a couple of extra lights, it immediately just improves the appearance of the house and makes it a lot more inviting. And then add small details like add a letterbox, a couple of pots next to the front door, just a simple thing like having the street number of your house on the house also makes a big difference. First impressions of colour. Colour does impact mood.
I think definitely be encouraged. There's a process in terms of assisting people with colour, regardless of whatever the product is, whether it's a front door like this image or the interiors or the kitchen. What's interesting about colour in my experience, people who've moved towards it are then quite proudly recognised by it, that generally people comment on how nice something looks because it has colour. That boldness, that willingness to basically go towards colour really pays off. It's very interesting driving around any suburb in New Zealand. Compared to North America, we still like to have front fences, and it's interesting again when you see a really well considered fence. The house can often look like it's either sinking, that the fence is too high, or effectively is too low.
I must say my opinion on the fences is in America, if you look at the neighborhoods in America, a lot of them don't have fences in front of their houses. I don't think it's necessary to have a fence, personally, because you do hide the house away.
But, if you basically go back and look at the start of colonisation and the way that lots were effectively constructed in New Zealand, down to about, approximately, I think an eighth, it's about in square meterage, about 360 square meters is some of the smaller allotments. It's a very hard ideology to break away from, and we see it unusually in up in Auckland where you are. It's pretty unusual seeing some of these developments that then have a timber fence, basically separating 2 houses, 2 meters apart.
Just tidying the front yard up, keep it clean, clear lines, clear pathways, and also work with what you've got. Choose the right color palette for your house. If you've got a traditional house, use traditional colors, white, just the classics. A modern house, you can go with blacks and greys. And then if you're in the country, use neutral colors, the soft blues, soft greens, just more neutral colors to tone in with the landscape.
Across a lot more homes. One way to manage that risk is even this photo here where it shows a blue door. You can basically just highlight various elements.
Is the 60-30-10 rule. So use 60% color for the main body of the house, 30% then for secondary, and only 10% for accent colors like the front door, for instance. If that front door was painted, let's say for argument's sake, blue, as we're going with blue, the house would look entirely different.
I've actually never heard of that rule, but interestingly enough, it's effectively what we, as you being an architect, also what we instinctively often do in design, whether it's kitchens, bathrooms.
How do I choose the right plants for my entry? Don't use too many plants, stick to about 3, and use layering. So you want to actually highlight the entrance of your house and make it welcoming and not chaotic.
There are actually people out there, if you find them, who are highly knowledgeable about plants. And because we're speaking here primarily about residential projects, they're not often what you may think. You need to ask if they actually have relevant experience in plants. But we find when you look at those magazines that are popular or even online, which just show absolutely outstanding domesticated gardens, I can literally guarantee you behind that is a plant specialist, and they're actually incredibly affordable. It's not a lot of work for them to actually do a planting design. So that's different from a landscaping plan, which might incorporate things like the pathways, whatever, fencing, driveways.
Well, that's the beauty of Plan First Design. We've got everyone under one roof. Then have a look at your landscaping, look at layering it, and work in 3s or odd numbers. Also, for interest, you can have a look at seasonal, so that the garden doesn't look the same year round. Go for light greens and dark greens in your garden.
It's a lot of fun working with plant specialists, because just as you were mentioning lighting, the ones that are very understanding, and it varies with regions quite quickly as well through New Zealand. There's a lot of colourful kind of English style gardens in New Zealand, including the gardens at Waitangi.
What is the biggest lighting mistake homeowners make? Sometimes the lighting, the actual fixture is too small. It's out of proportion to the house.
When people use sensor lights, which are ultimately floodlight, security lighting can be handled and I think in a much more dignified manner than just a floodlight. Let's
have a look at another example. Not much thought has gone into it. So again, we'll paint it. We'll add some details. So in this case, add some shutters because you need to do something to that elevation. Add your landscaping and your lighting.
It's a really good example of house.
This is the last one that we'll look at. Again, a very, very ordinary, you wouldn't really look twice at this house if you were to drive past it. But paint it, give it a bit of a landscape, add some small details, in this instance, flower boxes under the windows, if you're that way inclined, and then the lighting. So
very interesting.
And all these examples that we're showing, besides the lighting, everything can be done by the homeowner, should they need to or wish to. How do I pick a front door color that stands out without looking tacky?
I don't think it can look tacky. That's the awesome thing about the door.
I would just like to add that have a look at what the undertone is of the rest of the house. Do you have a cool undertone? Do you have a warm undertone? And pick your color accordingly. So if you've got, let's say, a black roof, go for a cool color. If you've got a terracotta roof, go for a warm undertone in the front doors color. What is the cheapest? What are the cheapest curb appeal upgrades under $100?
10 minutes of advice with me.
Add some small details like doormat can make a big difference. New door handle. That was our topic for this week. We are very excited for next week's topic. So we've got Amy Watkins from Rosine joining us live. Her topic is going to be the next palette, emerging color directions you need to know. So she's going to be discussing colors for next year. If anybody wants to get hold of us, Facebook, Instagram, or our website, you can even send comments through YouTube if you like, but the best place to contact us is our website.